Howdy folks, I'm a naughty red-breasted nuthatch, noisily nabbing neglected nachos.
I'm Amber.
And here are more neglected nachos for us to nab. What is it, Amber, with you and nacho nabbing?
I just like nachos. I'm sorry.
They're nachos. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for screaming at my husband to get out after he pranked me with flowers? My husband and my marriage is not going well. I am very close to divorce, and I've talked to him about it. I've told him that I wanted some effort. I wanted flowers, chocolates, a nicely written note, something that showed me that he wanted to romance me. He finally took it seriously and agreed. When I came home from a 12-hour shift yesterday, he laid a trail of rose petals in our house. It was so beautiful. The trail ended at the kitchen sink, where he had piled a bunch of dirty dishes, pots, and pans to clean. He said that he got the idea from TikTok. I screamed at him to get out of my house. He left after arguing a bit. I cried. Some of my friends said that I was in the right, but others just say that he was being playful. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, and guess what? We have an update! Alright folks, and the update is titled, Am I a jerk for screaming at my husband to get out of the house after he pranked me with flowers? My husband came back home last night and I had cooled off. And then he ruined it by saying that I was overreacting and that it was funny and that he wanted to make me laugh. I told him that I was going to file for divorce because it was the last straw. He then started crying and begging me not to. He begged me to give him a second chance. I said that he already got a second chance and he squandered it by reminding me that I do all the daily chores in this house. This was why our marriage was rocky. I work in the medical field while he is a blue-collar worker. Both of our jobs require long hours, but if I mess up, people die. He once said that I went through all that schooling just to get covered in blood and feces. He took it back after that, but he wanted to make me feel low. He started doing a little bit better after COVID started. I do all of the cooking and cleaning, I do the laundry, I do the sweeping, I do the dentist appointments. All he does is create more work for me. He wanted me to pack him a lunch because his friends' wives do. And they're either stay-at-home moms or they have part-time jobs. I do not have the time or energy to do that. He said that he mows the lawn. Well, guess what? It's winter and I had to shovel the driveway because I had to work in the morning and he had the day off. I make more money. I bought our house at a low rate during COVID because his credit was too low. I had the money saved for a down payment. I pay our mortgage. What did he contribute to my life? If I didn't have him in my life, I would have clean floors all the time and more money. At least he could contribute love. He said that he did love me, but he doesn't do anything to prove it. So I asked him for flowers or chocolates or a nice card, literally anything to show me love. But instead he dropped flower petals to a sink full of dirty dishes, pots, and pans. It's not even original. I'm done. I am going to file for divorce. Alright folks, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, definitely not the jerk, and good on OP for filing for divorce. Sounds like this man doesn't contribute anything to the relationship, and better to be alone than to have to deal with his nonsense.
Well, and it sounds like these were deep problems for a little while, and OP talked to him, and instead of trying to fix the problem and trying to make things a little bit better for OP, he kind of just rubbed it in her face that she does all the chores. And I mean, I understand, like, that he wants a lunchmate for him. We all want a lunchmate for us, right? But he also has to be willing to put some kind of effort into the relationship. And it seems like his idea of a relationship is that she does all the work and he doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, like, he has a long, hard job, and that's understandable. Like, I can see why he would be tired at the end of the day when he works in a blue-collar field. But OP is also tired throughout the day, right? I mean, at the end of the day, because she works in a demanding field as well.
Yeah, and it's just ridiculous for him to expect her to do everything and to give nothing in return.
Yeah, and the whole I mow the lawn, if at the end of the day, all you can point to is the fact that you've mowed the lawn on the occasion during the summertime, then maybe you aren't really pulling your weight. Maybe there's more things that you can do around the house. Maybe you can pick up a broom every once in a while and sweep, or try to make a dinner, or try to do anything to lighten the load on your partner. But if you're constantly throwing all the weight of these other chores on your partner, then it doesn't matter how much you say you love your partner, you really aren't pulling your weight, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Mentioning That I Live Below My Means? For some context, I'm a 30-year-old female and I live here in the same basement suite since 19 with my dog. I rented it from a lovely old couple and became very close with them. They treated me like family, and we helped each other out over the years. They kept my rent super cheap and would constantly spoil my dog and take him for walks while I was at work, and always gave me leftovers or invited me to dinner. I maintained the house and gardens, and I helped them with everything elderly people might struggle with. When they passed away in a bus accident, I was very shocked to find out they had left me everything: their house, their cars, and a sizable savings. Fast forward to now. I'm getting married and my soon-to-be husband is aware of my circumstances, but I never told anyone else. I guess they didn't know how to deal with it, so I just ignored the situation and went on with life as I always have. My fiance signed a prenup, it was his idea, and we started planning our wedding. We have been living in my basement suite with the upstairs rented out, but recently moved into the upstairs so we could grow our family, read, get another dog. Well, we sent out wedding invitations to both of our families, and they freaked out. They couldn't understand how we could afford to get married at the place that we chose. My fiance just said that we can afford it. We aren't hurting for money by any means. And he isn't sure why they think that we are. His sister's response was, "You are a landscaper and a teacher. You should be poor," in a rather demeaning tone. Our families are livid that we never mentioned my inheritance, and are accusing us of living frugally to hide it. We never lied, nor did we try to hide it. We just never said anything and never changed our simple lifestyle. We just kept living like we always had, as we were perfectly happy doing so. They are literally so mad that they have declined the wedding invitation. The only people who will talk to us is his brother, who was like, "Wait, do you guys own your house? Can I move into the basement?" And my dad, who just wants to know when he gets a grandchild. Am I the jerk for not telling anyone about my inheritance? Like, is this actually such a huge offense? Because we don't get it. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. And I think this shows that OP was probably in the right not to tell people about it. Like, it seems like they're just bitter because OP is a teacher or landscaper and has money. Like, oh, you should be poor. How dare you have money?
Yeah. Well, it seems, again, very strange that they would be this upset about it, and I don't know why they would demand to know about OP's financial situation anyways, right? A lot of people go into debt for their weddings, so...
Right, well, and it's one thing to express concern, and it's another thing to, like, get offended when it turns out that they actually have money. Like, if anything, that should have been a relief. Like, oh, okay, you can afford this.
Yeah. So I don't think that OP should have even revealed their financial situation to their families, because I think that they could have just been mad at the financial situation. And again, like, it's none of their business about how much money OP has. And again, at the end of the day, what's important is that OP and her fiance have the wedding that they want to have. And unfortunately now, the families have made it very difficult for them to achieve that because they're boycotting this wedding over money, right?
Well, I mean, it may make the wedding more affordable anyway.
Yeah, it might just make it more affordable. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Having a Bachelorette Party to Celebrate My Son's Wedding? My son is getting married this summer, and I have been so excited with planning the wedding and looking forward to the celebration with all of my friends and family. This weekend, my girls and I went on a bachelorette trip for me to celebrate becoming a mother-in-law. I sent my son and daughter-in-law a lot of pictures from the events. However, I got no response from my daughter-in-law, and my son told me that I should probably keep this to myself. When I got back from the trip, I got into an argument with my son, and he said that it was in poor taste to do a bachelorette trip and share all of these photos of it. And apparently my daughter-in-law feels like I am making their whole wedding about myself, when in reality, this is just between me and my girlfriends and something nice they wanted to do to celebrate me, and it does not concern my daughter-in-law. Now both of them are upset with me, and I feel like I cannot catch a break. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like OP is trying to turn her son's wedding all about her. Like, a bachelorette trip is for a bride-to-be, not for a mother-in-law to be. And so, like, it's one thing to take a trip with her friends and, just to relax or something. But also the way she's like sending constant pictures to the couple getting married. She's like, oh, well, this doesn't have anything to do with my daughter in law. As soon as you start sending her pictures, it has something to do with her.
I think that OP isn't in the wrong for wanting to celebrate the wedding and the marriage. And I don't think that OP is even wrong for wanting to take their friends on a trip to celebrate this marriage. Where I think that OP starts to get into some odd, peculiar territory is by calling it a bachelorette party, because that implies that she's the bride,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that that is probably the part that their son and daughter-in-law are struggling with the most. If they had just called this a celebratory trip or something like that, then it would have been one thing. And I mean, I imagine how do you think the daughter-in-law feels to have the mother being going running around being like, I'm having a bachelorette because my son is getting married.
Right. Like, it's very awkward and cringy. It makes it seem like she's the bride. And from reading the post, I get the feeling that OP basically is treating this wedding like it's hers
Mm-hmm.
and treating the bride like she's just like, oh, just kind of like there and not really centering the bride and groom in this.
Yeah, and so I think that OP needs to reflect on this and then reflect on their son and daughter-in-law's words and try to take a step back and see if they're doing other things that might be construed as them trying to make the wedding about themselves. Maybe they're heavily involved with the planning and trying to make everything about them and having like all the details and stuff like that their way.
Yeah, well, OP does say that they're involved in the planning, and so I'm wondering if OP has been like trying to push an agenda.
hmm So I would, again, if I were OP, I don't think that this is like the most unforgivable thing in the world or anything like that, but I do think this should be a good time for them to reevaluate their motives and also what they're doing in this wedding. So, and then, to apologize because clearly they feel like this is a bit too far, right? And if it's a bit, again, like it's better in this particular case, I feel like, to mend fences and try to apologize and be like, well, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for it to come across this way. I didn't mean for you to feel like I was stealing your thunder. Why don't we start over and blah blah blah? What can I do to help make you feel like I'm not making this about myself? Then I think that would go a long way towards helping smooth things over. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
Why was the headless horseman feeling down?
Well, the headless horseman was feeling down because his head had rolled away, and so all he was left with was a pumpkin. And I guess the pumpkin was filled with duck feathers, and so that's why he was feeling down.
Because he could never get ahead.
That makes sense. That makes sense too. But, and I was about to be like, thanks so much for watching. And I have Mega Mitt. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday! I hope your Monday is going well so far. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please, have it involve a little romance. And for context, nachos can be romantic.
Ooh. If you're thinking about pranking your partner as a romantic gesture, maybe don't. Maybe just get them some nachos or flowers or something else they would like instead.
Yes, I think so. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.